We shouldn't compare human tragedies or historic genocides, but we ought to compare our passiveness and silence in face of tragedy of others. Here we are now, millions of us, visiting memorial sites, Holocaust museums, participating in many different educational programs. And here we are reading the testimonies of survivors. And then again, when millions of us watch the television or browse the internet, we face their various forms of genocides, and we do not react. And the news is up to date and secret-free now, today. In our today's global village, the possibility of taking action seems to be infinite in comparison to the time of the Second World War. And we still prefer to be bystanders. This is something that is certainly the main important problem of the education of the Shoah, of the education about that times, of the education of the remembrance of the victims and of the remembrance of the righteous among the nations. And this is something that we have certainly to work more on that topic, because it is certainly not normal than, I don't know, 8 million, 10 million persons are going through all the museums all around the world in 1 year, and we don't hear those voices when something terrible happened somewhere in the world. Our teaching programs, the main teaching programs, let's say, in Auschwitz, is of course to guide people through the site. We organize, of course, also conference, seminars, work with teachers, we work with some specialized groups. We developed some programs for really different groups, like prisoners of today prisons, like special schools for people with some mentally handicap. Many different really programs, but I think that the real question now is how to show to the new generations that main, let's say, in the majority, they choose the options of the bystanders in their life, and maybe that why we have this impression that the never again doesn't really function after the war, and the never again was a sentence that was repeated not after the liberation of Auschwitz, but during the time of Auschwitz. The never again appears in the in some booklets prepared clandestinely by Sonderkommando or by some others. Prisoners. This never again was in the center of the actions of help in the camp. So our possibility, of course, is authentic place. As I said, the only one persisting at that let's say sense, authentic from all the places of the Shoah, and the main question is how to show the entity of the Shoah in one place. Because if we think that it is a symbol of the entity of the Shoah, that means that people will come more and more asking us for the others places, for the others elements of this German policy, not only about Treblinka or Belzec, but also Babi Yar, also Travniki, also all the first step of the Shoah, the Holocaust by bullets. It is not every time easy to speak about Treblinka in Auschwitz, because we are referring to the authentic place. But I think that our role is not to become a memorial of the Shoah at the same, let's say, understanding as Yad Vashem or United States Holocaust Memorial Museum. We have to present this history through this place, this 200 hectares place. It was the two remains of the camp, Auschwitz I and Auschwitz II Birkenau, was chosen after the war by former prisoners as parts that must be preserved, because this is very interesting, they think that those two parts are enough to show, to explain the entity of this history. The history of the concentration camp in the first year, and of course after also, and the history of the Shoah, the history of the Holocaust, of the Gypsies, and all the other history that happened in this place during the German occupation. So there is a difference, I think, fundamental difference between the museology, the education, and the way of working with the visitors in an authentic place and in a museum created somewhere in the world. And for this reason, our work of today converge in two directions. It's not really that. Let's say have two most important fundaments. The first of those two fundaments is the preservation of this authenticity. For that was created the foundation Auschwitz-Birkenau last year, in order to develop a global plan of preservation, a long-way plan that should help us with the entity of this site, the two camps, but also the items in the collections or the archives. It means 155 buildings and 300 ruins, among them the gas chambers, the crematoria. This is something very, very important and very, very difficult also after 65 years to be preserved. And the author's priority is to create a new general exhibition in order to reinforce this education and this sensibility of the people that during the visit must not only, let's say, cry or let's say not only think about the history of the Shoah, but also reflect on their own responsibility in the today's day, with the anti-Semitism that we know today, with many others, racism and problems in many different countries, and our, let's say, easy way to stand bystanders in our life. Those are the two responsibility, and let's say with this two most important things that is of course our responsibility, but I think that it is also the duty of the entire world. Let me end this short introduction, but I think that through an exchange of remarks or questions we will proceed better for the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you.